1965 D21. I used to own this guitar, sold it to a friend of mine who's a banjo player, and I got it back for just a little bit of work to it. Bridge was coming off just a tiny bit, so I wanted to take care of that. And the saddle it was previously on there was made out of a softer ivory, and it was leaning forward. I mean, literally distorting at the top. So I put a bone saddle on it, glued that up. Anyway, I got it here. I have it for about a month. I thought I would play with some things. What we're going to try to do is it's not really an issue. It's something that keeps me from liking this guitar absolutely 100%. I like it about 95% right now. But that 100% is both the way it feels and the way it sounds. And the sound is this this nasal tone in here, which is characteristic to me of non-scalloped braced guitars. And I hear this in 70s. I hear it in most non-scalloped braced guitars that I hear. This one's actually pretty good, you know. But if I could improve on it without doing modifications, then I would. And what I'm hearing is that compression feeling there. Boom, 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 rather than boom, 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 rather than a full note. I hear it on that upstrum. Go back and watch the previous video where I compared this guitar to a 62 D18, and I said the D18 was a little bit more open because it's a lot more beat up than this guitar is, and so that opening is part of that. Anyway, the second thing that I complain about every time I play this guitar is the stiffness of the feel of the A and the D strings, and when I'm playing something, I feel that stiffness here, especially when I'm trying to do a pull-off or something off of these strings, and they just feel stiff. I personally use a different gauge that's not a medium gauge. It's a hybrid gauge, and this is what it is. It is a hybrid gauge between a medium and a light gauge, which I have used since I discovered them. At least 25 years, I bet I've been using this gauge. GHS made the first one called a true medium gauge, the TM335. And basically what you have is a 13 and a 17, which is a medium gauge. And then you have a 56 on the bottom, which is a medium gauge. And then you've got a 24, 32, and 42, which are light gauge. What those result in is an even tension of the strings. Because if you look at the tensions on your standard medium gauge set, the A and the D are like significantly higher than the rest of the strings. The B is the lowest tension, the two E's are in there, and the G are lower. So you end up with a whoomp like this on the A and the D's, which is exactly what I'm feeling on this guitar. I get used to that looser, slinkier feel of the A's and the D's. A lighter gauge string is going to make a little bit of a different tone. And I don't know if it's going to be better or worse on this guitar. We're going to find out. So I'm going to play this a little bit, and then I'm going to go change the strings to these Stringjoy Foxwoods, which I stole from a customer of mine who supplied me with 3 or 4 sets of them. And we'll see how they sound on these. I'm also advertising the Stringjoy Foxwoods because I did a video where I compared 3 or 4 different kinds of strings on the same guitar. And my question was, do these difference in strings change the quality of the guitar? Do they really change the overall sound of the guitar? Yeah, they add a flavor to it, but will they make this nasally bass into a non-nasally bass? Or will they make it more nasally? Or will they make really not much difference at all, except maybe they'll add a little bit of a flavor to the tone? So we're going to find that out today. So I'm going to play this guitar a little bit in my standard A-B thing. I'm going to go change strings. I'm going to come back and we're going to recompare. I'm going to splice all that together so that you hear an A-B immediately afterwards. And then I'll actually just sit here and play the guitar with the old strings and the new strings at the end. So here we go. Okay? So here's the stock strings, okay? And I'll turn my hat around backwards when I change the strings so you'll know which ones are which, okay? I should mention that the strings that are on this now are Martin mediums. Here we go. Well, what do I think? Quick initial observations. The sound of the guitar is still there. The reverby, boomy sort of thing that I hear is still there. I feel like it might be lessened just a little bit because of the difference. There's a different tone now between that. That sounds really good now. I like that E. And then the A. There's a slightly different tone going on now that you characteristically get when you go to light gauge strings. And it's a lighter, crisper, slightly brighter tone. So did it tone down the thuddiness that I was complaining about? Maybe just a little. But I definitely, of course, just, I knew I was going to notice this. the flexibility here. I'm no longer afraid of the A and the D strings, and the tension between, if you just get on the string and kind of bend it like that, you can feel it with your fingers. And the tensions are all much more even now. And that's something that I really notice right there, especially on the A. The A feels so much better to me now. It feels much more like the G. And you can feel that. You should be able to feel that in your fingers. I mean, I can. I think I can. Before, I complained about it being stiff. So I know that. Make sure I'm still in tune. So it plays better for me, just a little, These are also coated strings. They're really lightly coated. They still squeak, but they don't turn my fingers black. The other strings, man, they were turning my fingers black really fast. So turning my hand black, and I'm not getting that with these strings. So these feel better to me. Feel better, okay? A lot of that was on the G on up, so there's not going to be much difference there. So Lonesome Fiddle Blues will be more on the lower strings. So let's see what we. the place where I noticed it being stiff before. That's the thing. It pops better now. Easier to pop, just a little. And I feel it in the right hand, which is something that I commented on before. In one of the other videos, I commented that when I feel stiffness, a lot of times it's in the right hand, and the right hand is having to work harder, to get through some of those strings. And so it makes my hand a little bit tense. It also makes my hand stumble just a little bit if I'm not used to that tension. And so I felt like the Stringjoys, I gave me a little bit more of that flexibility that I wanted. I would run these strings, or I would run something else. I certainly don't feel like I lost anything. And I didn't lose any volume or any bass or anything. In fact, I like the bass better because I like the tone of that versus that versus that. Yeah, I like that. I don't think I lost anything by moving to that little bit lighter gauge set. The guitar feels more flexible to me. So I don't know. You listen to it, see what you think. The perception of the player can be different from the perception of the audience. The audience just sits there and listens to this. I'm the guy playing it, and I'm the guy expecting the response, and I'm the guy feeling the right hand and feeling the left hand and feeling those kind of things and throwing the side up in my face. So it's just a whole different set of perceptions for me than it is necessary for you. And you little microphone right there, and the thing, and then the computer, and then finally getting to you via YouTube. That's a whole different set of perceptions. So I think that's important. It's important for me to tell you what I'm feeling and hearing and see if it jives with you. So I like it better. Yeah, see, that little run right there, to me, just sounds just that little extra Christmas that I was looking for. Could be new strings, could just be the new strings, but there's a feel. Maybe it's my imagination too, but that's all right too, I like it better. Bottom line. So, all right, D21. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compare this D21 with a D28 1941 authentic right there. And they have absolutely no basis for comparison. There's nothing similar about them whatsoever. It's just like, okay, here's a 1965 D21. Here is a 2014 D28 1941 authentic. Contrast, compare. There are a few similarities between them. They both have rosewood back and sides. 1 11/16 neck. That's about it. It's just one of those things where, okay, they're two completely different guitars. Let's see what they sound like. You like this sound, you like that sound. That's a totally fair comparison. So. It's all treble string. That makes no difference whatsoever to change those strings here. Here's one. We got into a discussion about whether building the Lowground goes to the F chord and that B part, or whether it goes back to A minor. So I said, fine, just play it with a C and an A. And it's an ambiguous set of notes that fits either the C, either the F or the A minor. So here's the F chord. Here's an A minor chord. The only one note is the F versus the E. So as long as you avoid the F and the E, and that's why I was laughing, because it's the first time I've tried that. I actually hit that caution note there. I was just playing an ambiguous chord there. I guess you'd still have to avoid the F right there, so we could go. Yeah, you could do that. That G is going to sound funny against the F, though. That's going to make it into an F. F2. We got to get back to the G would work okay in a A minor 7. Now, there's not really any good way to do that other than stick with those two notes. You need a couple more notes though to make this work. So let's see. There's an F though. I guess you're going to have to decide whether you're going to do the F or the A minor, yeah? Unless you just go back and forth on this, you know. You could do that. It's hard to avoid that E and the F, so. The way I explained it, actually, it was under this guitar we were talking about this. The way I said it is, if you use the A minor the whole way, then it's Billy in the low ground. One word, low ground. But if you put the F in there, then it's Billy in the low ground. And there you go. And that's the difference between the two tunes, you know. Straight A minor is low ground, and putting the F chord in there is low ground. Problem solved. So you just need to decide, first of all, are you playing Billy in the low ground, or are you playing Billy in the low ground? You have it from a word of authority. All right, let's go. Bye-bye.